Today we're doing 2.1 notes, and we're focusing again on scaling ratios and proportions and solving for them like we started last week. So for question 1A, it says the campers at each table share the pizzas equally. Does a person sitting at a small table get the same amount of pizza as a person sitting at a large table? And explain. So they're getting the same amount of pizza, but there's a different amount of people at each one. So are the ratios the same? If we have about 4 people to, or 4 pizzas to 10 people, is that the same as this? There's our large table. 10 people at this table. There's 8 people at that table. One smaller. Aiden. Right. So I'm just telling you that that's how much are in them, since they didn't. So these are our people. This is the amount of pizza that they're going to have to use to each get the same amount. So how can we determine whether these are the same ratio or not? We can compare them, but how are we going to do that, Robert? Cross multiply? Okay. We can do that. For this, we can do something even simpler. Why don't we just get the percentage of them? Could we do that? Yes. So, how would I get the percentage of 4 over 10? I'm going to pick a stick. Mason, 4 over 10. 40%. 4 divided by 10 is 0.4. But if we were to put that into a fraction, or a percentage, it'd be 40%. Exactly. So, what about our other ratio? Anthony Marisi. 3 over 8. What is that percentage? 3 divided by 8. 0.375. So, as a percentage, it's 37.5%. Right? 0.375. We move that decimal twice to the right to get the percentage. 37.5%. So when they ask us, does a person sitting at a small table get the same amount as the person sitting at the large table? Well, no, they don't. Person sitting at small table doesn't get the same amount. Of pizza because the ratios are not the same. So Robert, like you said earlier, you wanted to compare them like this. We want to compare this whole ratio to this whole ratio. So that's combining them together. So we want to do something more like focusing on just those and focusing on just those. Okay? So for C, it says, if everyone sits at a small table, how many pizzas should the camp director order? And they tell us that there is 160 campers. Well, if there's 160 campers, we got to solve for the proportion. Could I flip the page? Yeah? Okay. 160 campers. At our small table, what did we say was the proportion? What did we write, Sophia, for our small table? Is that a small or large number? I'm sorry? Yep. 3 over 8. And then they told us that there is 160 people. Okay, well, I just wrote out, oh, I'm sorry, I did it backwards. Yep. Right? Does that look right now? Okay. So now that we wrote our proportion, can we find how many pizzas the camp director needs to order? We can. So who can tell me how many he needs to order? See, Elena. How many does the camp director need to order? We know that there's 160 people, and at a small table there's 8, and that's the amount of pizzas.
60.
They need 60. How did you get that?
I took 160.
Mm-hmm.
I divided it by 8.
Okay.
Got 20, and then I did 3 times 20 equals 60. That's why I do it.
20 times 3. Okay, so you divided those. Okay, so you can do that. Another way is the cross multiplying. So we could do 60 times 3, because those are our crosses. And then divide it by what we have left over. They both get us the same answers. Everyone see how we got the same answers there? So 60 pizzas. That's how many he's going to need. And so if we say for, what is it, 2? If everyone sits at a large table, how many pizzas do the camp director need to order? Well, we have 160 people still. Let me move my page. There's our page. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to work with your shoulder partners to solve for how many the camp director has. The camp director also has, what does it say? Oh, you guys don't have that page, do you? So I'll give you about 2 minutes. It says, if everyone sits at a large table, how many pizzas should the camp director order? Talk it over with your shoulder partners and determine how many if we have 160 people. Let's come back together. So, Eliana, what did you find? How many pizzas do we need for this large table? You got 64, exactly. How did you get that? What proportion did you set up? Okay. Did you write up a proportion like this? Or no?
I did, but then I did.
Right. Okay. Okay, so our proportion is our large, like we have in question A. And we have that equaling 160. And we need to find how many pizzas we need. 160 is the amount of campers that they told us. You're saying to write it like this? Are you saying I should write it like that? It doesn't matter. As long as your 4 and X are on the same side, and your 10 and 160 are on the same side, it doesn't matter which one's on the top and bottom as long as they are on the same side from each other. So these are our pizzas, the 4 and X, and then our campers are on the bottom, the 10 and 160. As long as those are on the numerator and the denominator the same as each other, it doesn't matter which way it's flipped. So it could be written either one. So Eliana, you multiplied this. Is that what you did first? 160 times 4. And that got you divided by 10, right? So 160 times 4 gets you 640. And then when you divide that by 10, you get 64. 64 pizzas. 64 pizzas. On to 3. For 3, the camp director also has extra large tables that seat 25. How many pizzas should be placed on each of those tables? Okay, well now we're going to take our large proportion that we found, and we're going to compare it to what their extra large table is. They told us that there is 25 people at those extra large tables, and we want to find how many pizzas we need. So there's our proportion, but how many pizzas would we exactly need? Gavin. I'm sorry? I just didn't hear what. Okay. Okay, exactly. 10. So what did you do? How did you get that, Gavin?
I did 25 times 4 and then divided it by 10.
He cross multiplied. He did 25 times 4, which got you what? 100. And then he took that 10 left over that he hasn't worked with yet and divided it by 10. And that gave him 10. So the camp director is going to need 10 pizzas for the, oops, this is an extra large table. 10 pizzas. Well, in 4, it says how many pizzas should he order if everyone sits at the extra large table? Well, now we're comparing it to the total amount of campers again. Here we are just comparing it from our large table to what is given at the extra large table. Well, now they say, hey, we're using the extra large. We're focusing on that extra large table, and we're comparing it to the total amount of campers. Oh, I went too far. Robert, what would I use?
Using 25 at a large table that fits 25.
Yeah. So, how many people, how many pizzas? Well, we know at our extra large table we have 25 people, right? Okay. So, how many did we just find? How many pizzas do we need for that extra large table? Ashley. We have 25 people. We just solved it up in question 3. How many pizzas did we say we need for one extra large table? 10. So there's our proportion there for extra large. And now we're comparing it to the total amount of campers. And we know we have 160 campers. And we want to find how many pizzas we need now. So when we solve this, Rebecca's not here. When we solve this, Blake, what do I get for my x for the total amount of pizzas that I need? If this is my proportion. 64 pizzas, exactly. You cross multiplied, didn't you? So he did. So he did 160 times 10, which what did that give you, Blake? 160 times 10? I'm sorry, that gave you 1,600? Okay. And then you divide that by 25, because we haven't worked with it yet. And that gave you 64. So we have 64 pizzas. So now, what question is this? On to question B. Can someone read what B is, since I don't have it? Eleanor, you want to read it? Okay. Oh, I do have it here. What's it say, Eleanor?
Wonders whether a person at a small table or a person at a large table gets one pizza. Choose two ratios, 8 and 4 and 6. The difference of 10 and 4 is 6. The difference of 8 and 3 is 5. The large table has more people, so the people at the small table will get more pizza. 1. Do you agree with something that's basically explained?
All right, thank you. So, she uses the two ratios up here, 8 and 3 and 10 and 4, and she said the difference of 10 and 4 is 6. And the difference of 8 and 3 is 5. It's like the scale up or scale down factor. So the large table has more people, which is correct. We have more people there. So the people at the small table will get more pizza. Well, is that true or not? Let's see. What do we think? Who wants to tell me what they think? Is it true or not? Anthony Coleman.
It is because when we did the percentages for the amount of pizza people got before, the large people got more pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went back to those percentages that we did in A. You said that in that large table, they got 40%, and in that smaller table, 37.5%. Is there another way we can reason this? Lily?
is the small table, right? Okay, so the difference is 6, so it would be more because 6 is greater than 5.
Okay, so you found that the difference is when the large table has a difference of 6 and the small table has a difference of 5, the difference is larger for the large table, so they should get more pizza. Yeah. So all of these are good reasoning. So do you agree with Selena's reasoning? No, we don't. And we just came up with 2 different reasons based on the percentages and based on the differences from the scaling, right? So in 2 it says Tony disagrees with Selena. Page. All right, so he says on the next page, if you place 5 pizzas on the large table and 3 pizzas on the small table, Selena's method would show that the campers at the large table and the campers at the small table get the same amount of pizzas. If 10 people share 5 pizzas, however, each person gets a half a pizza, that's more pizzas than each of the 8 people who share the 3 pizzas will get. Do you agree with Tony's reasoning? Yes or no? All right. Who wants to share with us? Stephanie. Do you agree with what he's saying? If 10 people share 5 pizzas, they each get a half a pizza, a whole half a pizza. That's more than each of the 8 people will get when they share 3 pizzas, because we know 8 people get 3 pizzas. So those ratios are different. Do you agree with what he's saying? You do? Okay. So why do you think that? What did you look at to determine that? You just told me yes, but what made you think yes? So why do you think that? You think it's true? Does anyone else think it's true? Put your finger on your nose if you think it's true. If you agree with Stephanie. Everyone agrees with Stephanie? Finger on their nose? If you don't have your finger on your nose, that means you disagree? Okay. So, someone that has their finger on their nose, who wants to help Stephanie out? Why do you think that? A new hand. I already heard from you. Let's get someone else. Zane? Did you agree with Stephanie or no? You did? And why did you agree with her? What made you think that, what's his name? What made you think Tony's reasoning is true?
You place like the 10 people in half a pizza,
Uh-huh.
like 8 slices of pizza, then each person gets like 4 slices.
Yeah, each person in that large group, if there's 10 people, they get 4 slices. Okay.
People at the smaller table get 3 pizzas,
Mhm.
which is like
That small table gets 3 pizzas. Which did they tell us how many slices they get from that? They get 8 people will share 3 pizzas.
so that's like 4 slices.
Yep.
Yeah, and then 8 divided 24 divided by 8, which is 3. So then like each person will get 3 slices.
Each person gets 3, so that's a little less. Yeah. Mason, do you have something to add to it? Exactly.
So, since Tony said that each like out of the 10 people that share the 5 pizzas would get half a pizza, I know that that would be more than the 8 people that share 3. So if 8 people share 3, that would be less than half. If they wanted it to be half, they'd have to share it.
So 10 people, exactly. So would you say 10 people get how many slices?
Just half the pizza.
Half the pizza? And then what did you say about the small one?
Well, if they wanted to have the same amount of pizza as the 10 people, they'd have to split 4.
So if those 8 people want to get the same size pizza, the same amount of boxes of pizza as that large table, they would get how many slices? About what Zane said? What did you say? Roughly three slices for that small pizza? About roughly 3 slices. So, when he says that large table has more people, yes, they do. So the people at the small table will get more people. Is that true or not? Well, they're going to get a half a pizza each. And they're going to get 3 slices. Is it true or not, Robert?
No.
Right. It's not. So his reasoning against Selena is not completely accurate. So we don't agree with what he says. And then for C, you guys all have a C, right? That says there are 160 campers and then 1 and 2. Well, we already did that, so just cross that off. That's written on the second page. It's just, for some reason, copied again. So you can ignore that. And then let's see if our homework, we already did that. There's no homework. So this homework is due on Wednesday because we have Investigation 1 quiz tomorrow. So our homework is page 51, 1 through 3. And then page 41, just parts A and C. So parts A and C of page 41 and questions 1, 2, and 3 on page 51. This is homework today. And since we have Investigation 1 quiz, I want you to focus on studying today. So this is going to be due on Wednesday. So you get 2 days to do it. So we have a lot that we should be working on right now. And it should be staying pretty quiet so everyone can focus.